excited doing things like this.
I want to share something that was on the LA Times today in the California section. It says, still waiting for the deluge. That's the very back. And it says, El Nino's full force has yet to be felt. So I think that sums it up. From the standpoint of Mother Nature, you can never predict. But I think I've shared with a lot of you that we've had work together on projects previously, that if we don't plan, then that's when we get in trouble. So I want to thank everyone for being here this evening. Good evening. I'm Scott Brown, your fire chief, and I always say that with a big smile. I'm here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. I always want to make sure I remind everybody of that. I do have some good news about Hemet Fire Department, and sorry, Chief Brown, the other Chief Brown, you'll get to meet in a minute. I'm excited to report that we're expanding our East Hemet services, and we're going to be turning the squad into a paramedic unit effective January 25th. So that not only benefits our residents in the East End of the city, it benefits our entire city and our response system. And we're working very hard at looking at our entire operation and look at ways we can be more efficient, and the bottom line, take care of you better. And that's the name of the game. So on that, you're very welcome. On that note, I'd like to make a quick introduction because Chief Brown is very busy. He has some issues that he's dealing with currently, but I did want him to come up and say a quick hello. He's an important part of our team, our public safety team, a professional, and my friend.
When Chief Brown is that generous, it's hard for me to do this, but I kind of feel like I'm in the Liars Club with a real Chief Brown who step forward. Anyways, sorry I didn't say it. Look, first of all, thank you for being here on behalf of the Hemet Police Department. As I look around the room, the unfortunate thing that I'm noticing is the people who don't really need to be here are here tonight. Look around. You are the ones who are engaged. I see a lot of CERT gear. I see people whose familiar faces I see at so many planning events in the city. So we're going to rely on you throughout the night to really absorb this information and then go out into our community and share and educate your neighbors, because that's really how we're going to survive this next season. So I want to applaud the real Chief Brown for putting this together. His staff will be introduced to you. Thank you for being here tonight, and make sure again when you get back out there you share all this information with your neighbors. Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you, sir. Before I introduce our dignitaries, does everybody like humor?
Sure.
No? So you don't want to see this? You do? Okay. So do we have that queued up?
You guys cross your fingers.
Okay.
You're killing me, Smalls. No? Don't. I think.
You gotta cue it at the beginning.
Okay, I need help.
So you just have this all set up, and what happens? So this is, and we're going to need that as loud as we can get it. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see this.
Speaker, this is not
That's the
on.
mic.
Turn the lights out. Lights, you're in charge of lights.
Okay, we're going to turn the lights down.
Sorry, we didn't practice this part. Better?
We're going to take it all the way to the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, now, I'll say ready, set, go. I'll get out of the way. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
All right, ready, set, go.
Volume.
All the tropical storms must bow before El Nino. Yo soy El Nino. For those of you who don't habla español, El Nino is Spanish for Nino.
You know, it's all about timing.
Yeah.
That was pretty important. That was
Sorry.
okay. That's
It'll be better
technology,
next
but
time.
we'll do better next time.
Yeah.
You get the point.
Yeah.
Okay? So, ba-ba-ba-boom. Let's slap. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. All right, it is my absolute pleasure. On behalf of our Mayor, Bonnie Wright, Bonnie had to excuse herself. She's in an important mission up in Sacramento. But our other mayor, and I can say that, I hope I don't get in trouble, Linda Krupta will be opening up tonight's event. And I'd like to welcome her to the dais.
Thank you, Chief Brown. And I feel it's only fitting after I say welcome and thank you for being here, is that I missed the first meeting like this back in November because I had one of those days that you don't like to talk about, and had to make use of our paramedic service and our ambulance service and our hospital service, and so I missed everything. So graciously, we have an update so I can learn what to do at my property in town when the rain starts falling real heavily. But this is an important type of meeting because we are so not used to having a lot of rain that we need to be reminded of what we can do to protect ourselves and our own property, and in worst case, how to help our neighbors. But also the do's and don'ts of driving through water, of going out of your house when different storms are in the area. So it's a very important thing. And as Chief Dave Brown said, get the information because you guys are the movers and shakers in this type of a community, and go out and tell your neighbors and help them become prepared for what probably will happen. Now, we've lived through several El Ninos in the past. I've been here for 40 years and have seen years when it started raining on December 20th and didn't stop until April 15th. And it's not nice. At those times, we didn't have some of the bridges we have now, and we literally were cut off from the rest of the world. We're in better shape now. We have a lot more technology. We have more people who know what they're doing and what they should be doing. But the important thing is we need to take care of ourselves and let them take care of the people who can't take care of themselves. So with that, it is my absolute great pleasure to introduce someone to you tonight who is our county supervisor, Chuck Washington. And I will say that I consider him a friend, I consider him a colleague, and the fact that he is here tonight tells me that he is very concerned about our city and our valley. So with that, Chuck, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor Krupta. It's okay to call you that. Once a mayor, always a mayor, right? And every town, every city should have a Brown and Brown. How do you compete with that? I mean, the humor alone. Most of you know that I'm relatively new to the supervisor job, but not necessarily new to public service. Prior to this past year or so, as a county supervisor, I spent nearly 15 years, a little over 15 years, as a council member. A little over 11 in Temecula and 4 in Murrieta. But I'll have to tell you, people have asked me, so how are you liking the job? And my response initially for the first 4 or 5 months has been, it's an acquired taste. City council for me was kind of a hobby that I did on the side while I did my day job as an airline pilot for Delta Airlines for a quarter of a century. This is full time. And as such, I am committed to a number of things that need to be taken care of in my district. The third district is Murrieta, Temecula, Hemet, San Jacinto, and all the way up to Idaho. Now, we've been in a drought for some time, and everybody's talking about the El Nino that's coming. I even heard a few folks last week complaining, well, this isn't near what they told us it was going to be. Where's he complaining about that? And yes, we need the rain, but we're not done with the El Nino. Another thing we got that we haven't heard in a while, there was snow in Idaho. And they acted like it was the first time it had ever snowed in Idaho. And I go, you know, that happens above certain elevations. If it gets cold enough and there's moisture, it creates snow. And everybody wanted to go up to the mountains, take their kids up there, and let them play in the snow. And then they got to a point where they needed chains. And there was no place to pull over, so they just stopped on the road, on a state highway, to put their chains on. And so there was backups and whatnot. And so there's an element of the community that was complaining, some residents, some folks that work in public capacity, but the restaurant owners who had an hour-long wait to get a seat, to get a table, the hotels, which were filled for the first time in a long time, they were ecstatic. They loved what was presented to them, and they're still experiencing it because now that the snow brought them up there, people were going, wow, this place is pretty cool. And that will probably continue for a while. But we have to figure out a way to deal with the downside, the impacts that are created. We moved up here to Riverside County from San Diego County in 1989. So my family and I have been Riverside County residents for over 26 years. We came here with a 6-year-old in tow, and she's now 32 and married and mother of 2. So we have grandkids that live 15 minutes away. There's blessings in that, and there's curses in that. We can see them whenever we want, and we are expected to be babysitters whenever they want. And so we take both, and we're happy about that. One of the things that I have experienced in Temecula, which is a new city, and the part of Temecula where I live is an older part of Temecula, and we don't have sewers and drainage. So when it rains, we get flooding. We get water into dry creek beds. We get all kinds of mess. And we complain. I don't complain because I know better, because I know the city's not going to do anything to help us. But the rest of the city has been built up in the last 25 years. And so along with it has come a lot of things that some of my older cities, such as Hemet, didn't have if you go back before that. You know, the sewer gutter things. And there were different levels, there were different standards for a lot of our streets here in Hemet if you go back 30, 40 years ago. And I get to experience them firsthand because I'm out here a lot. I spend a lot of time in Hemet. And so when we had the rains, 2 weeks ago, and I'm driving out a little Mini Cooper, and I'm driving because it gets good gas mileage, and I'm driving 600 miles a week as a county supervisor, and there are some intersections where I get to them and I say, I'm not likely to come out on the other side of this intersection. Because even tall trucks, I can see, are dealing with what's happening. And how many people have seen the videos on the news where it shows somebody drove in to water, rushing water, and then they got stranded. And they had to be rescued by fire or police. And you say to yourself, how stupid. And so I don't want to be one of those people. Now, when the ambulance comes and drags me up to the hospital, I ask my wife to put masks on so they don't recognize me. I think of that next time. So I turn around and I go down and I try a different way and I keep trying until I get to a place where I feel like I can get through this. But it's important, and I think the mayor hit on this, as did both of the chiefs. It's important for us to understand the environment that we live within, whether it be a new city, an older city, a mountain community. Olivia, one of my staff members, we were dealing with some complaints up in Idlewild that the snowplow had created berms in front of people's driveways and they couldn't get out. And I was mad as hell about it. And I wanted the county people to go back and fix it. And then they pointed out to us, well, you know, if we'd not plowed the street, they wouldn't have that berm in front of their driveway, but they wouldn't be able to drive on the street. So, you know, it's one or the other. And so we have challenges that are put to us that we must deal with. And I think each scenario calls for a different solution, but we need to be mindful. We need to be mindful of those challenges and those dangers that might confront us in bad weather. So the county, in partnership with the city of Hemet, we are and have been giving a lot of attention to being prepared for this El Nino and being prepared for as bad as it could be. And I want to introduce some of the folks that are here, certainly beginning with my own staff. Vern Lawrenson is my chief of staff. Okay. He's here. And Vern also serves in a capacity on his own time, not your time, on his own time as a council member for the city of Yoruba Valley. It brings with it an understanding of cities and how they function. Brian Tisdale is on my staff. He's here tonight. And Brian is currently the mayor of Lake Elsinore, so he has a good understanding of cities and how they function and interact with the county. Olivia Balderrama has many years, she's here tonight. She has many years of experience with land use and development and works well with the other county departments. But I want to stress to you that we are not a county department. The supervisor's office and staff are here to represent you. And when issues come up that need attention and you don't know where to go, we want to encourage you to call us if you don't know who to call, because we will be happy to be that one-stop shop, if you will. 955-1030. Third district. First district is 1010. Third district is 1030. So if you can remember that number, that's a good place to start if you don't know where to start. But we have folks here from Cal Fire. We have folks here from County Flood Control. Dusty here is the director of County Flood Control. This is our 5th meeting today. It's like we're dating. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about with the El Nino there hanging over our heads. We have someone from County Trans. Did I miss anybody there? I don't think so. I'll leave it to them later to answer questions if you have questions directly to those departments. But I just want to assure you that County Emergency Management is dealing with preparation and is ready to assist the city because when it comes to El Nino flooding, the impacts of flooding, there are no boundaries. You know, you may drive from the city out into the unincorporated area or vice versa. And if you need help, you need help. And we're going to be there to help you, or we're going to assist the city in helping you. We don't want to lose anyone in this El Nino. And if I can stress that in the strongest terms, be prepared and don't take chances. Call us if you need us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. And before I turn this back to our fire chief, I would like to make one more introduction. He's the new guy in town. We have a new city manager, and Alex Meyerhoff. Would you please stand up and wave to everybody? Because he is one of those people that will be out in the public and has an open door policy. And his phone number is 765-2301. Actually, you get Kathy. But she's good. So on that, we are all concerned about what possibilities coming forward with a very severe El Nino season. So at this point, just sit back and relax, and our Fire Chief, Scott Brown, will start with the updates.
Thank you. Let's have a round of applause. Not only the supervisor, Mayor, thank you. Are we having a good time yet? You want to see another video? No, okay, we won't show you another video. Okay, here's where we're going to hopefully get serious about some good information. For those of you that attended, how many in the group attended our last summit that we had here? Okay. So good number of people. And the format tonight is slightly different, and then we're going to focus on what we have done in the city to prepare for the response side of the equation. We're also going to talk a little bit about what we're doing with our CERT group, what we're doing with our operational planning with other departments, our county partners, because it's all interrelated. What happens in Hemet will have a regional impact, vice versa. We're all helping neighbors, helping neighbor concept. We've been in constant meetings and discussions with Saboa, who's a very important partner, and we help them, they help us. We've been in discussions with the city of San Jacinto. We're sharing resources, sharing information, and that is key. So when the event does occur, then we will know far ahead of time what we're going to do. What we're going to queue up, what we have in front of you is, I'm not going to bore you with a PowerPoint, but it is a PowerPoint. I'll try to be humorous, inject some jokes and stuff like that. But I want to give you a quick overview of what we hope to accomplish tonight. Again, I want to give you an update on the status of El Nino, and I thought that the byline in the paper was perfect. People still have a misunderstanding of El Nino. We're in El Nino now. It depends on who you talk to. You can never get, there's all shades of gray with weather forecasters and what they're anticipating. What I can tell you, an interesting stat, which I brought up today, which I thought was interesting, that underscores the Riverside County area has the largest recorded rainfall was 5.5 inches. That occurred in one day, February 16th of 1927. We've had on average 12.4 inches over a 30-year period, and that's still 50% less than the average in other counties, similar counties in California. So it's a dichotomy that we live with each and every day. I think I shared with everyone at our last summit that it is going to rain. We do have a number of legacy projects here. We refer to them as legacy projects, and you'll get to meet Chris here shortly from Public Works. She'll talk more about what that means. But in essence, there's some areas that structurally are prone to flooding. So what either saves us or sinks us, for lack of a better term, is how much rain we get, how quickly that comes down, and that results in the negative impact that we have to mitigate. So everybody get through this real quickly. The weather people are telling us that we're going to have a lull. January, we've had about 5 inches plus. We've had 2 events. We weathered the storm fairly well. We had some areas that we will talk about later that Chris will refer to on the map, the Seattle Basin. We had some elevation of some of the flooding area in the drain basin that we were able to mitigate through our pumps. They work as designed, and as we shared with you before, there are many areas like that we are prepared, we pre-position resources to deal with those as they come up. So what's our strategy? How we plan, prepare, and respond together. I think we owe you that. You should hold us accountable to this because, again, at the end of the day, that's the most important focus of us to take care of you is our effective planning. So we approach this a little bit different than in years past. This is one in the fire police business. We're managing this as one large incident. So this incident, El Nino, will be with us through March, April, maybe into May. Multi-departmental, so it's all risk. We're bringing all the disciplines together, so it's not just fire and police. Public Works plays a critical, important role in not only the response, but the recovery and the daily activities of keeping our storm drains clear, our streams running clear of debris, and not only preventing flooding, but helping us when we have flooding occur, responding to those areas and dealing with them. Also our Community Development Department, our Building Department, and the Hemet Unified School District, which is another important member of our team. It's a multi-phased approach, extensive. I'm going to show you the incident action plan that we developed. It's an operational doctrine that we use in planning for the event. A lot of technical terms, but there is a document that is a living, breathing document that we update weekly depending on the storm impacts. and it brings together all the departments. We have one unified set of eyes, objectives that how we're going to respond to. It may not be a flood. Guess what we had a couple weeks ago? We had an earthquake, a little earthquake, 4.5. Preparedness mitigation, the city efforts, citizens strategically place sandbags at the fire station. I want to talk a little bit about that because we've done something a little different, and I want you to hear it from me why we've done it this way. I've had a lot of calls. We had some questions posted on the website about why we're not giving sandbags. By the way, Chris has a treat for you at the end of this meeting, so I just want you to hold that thought. What we were doing in previous years, we would pile up thousands of sandbags and sand and put them at each one of the fire stations, and we would tell you that you can come get your sandbags. There'll be people there to fill the sandbags up, and everything will be taken care of. Well, that wasn't working too good. It felt good because we got sandbags and we got sand. Well, 98% of the time, our firefighting personnel are on calls, emergency calls, so they weren't available. So there's a failure point. If I go and I'm expecting help, I want somebody to be there. Well, we weren't there. There's a failure point. And then, unfortunately, when we try to put a limit on how many sandbags we distributed, so let's say, just pick a number. How many? Let's say 5. You can only take 5. And what's your name?
Joyce.
Joyce races down to the firehouse and she takes 20. You didn't really do that. No. But so what happens is those sandbags run out very quickly, and so for those that really need it, we really failed in our mission and failed you to provide a large, the distribution on a larger scale. So this year we took a public-private partnership approach. Everybody should have in hand the handout. In the handout, there is an update on sandbag locations. Lowe's, Home Depot, Hemet True Value, B&D Pipe and Supply, Value Vista, Home Center, Hemet Industrial Supply. Those are just the ones that we have physically, as of today, confirmed they have an adequate supply of sandbags. And as you can see, the cost is minimal. But what we're trying to gently steer is get you to take some ownership with that component. We have sand at all the stations. Chris, we update that weekly on the sand replenishment as needed.
Hi, Chris Jensen. We actually monitor it weekly, yes. During storms, we're monitoring it daily because no matter how often we say take care of your sandbag needs before the storm, it's not until rain's hitting the street that people are running to fill their bags. So yes, but weekly at minimum.
So that's what we're doing. Now, our county partners may be doing something different. I know it, for instance, our Little Lake Station is adjacent to our eastern city limit. I've been in contact with Chief Weiser. We communicate daily when we have a storm impact. So they may need sand, we'll provide them sand. They may need bags, we may have to need bags, they'll help us. So the neighbor help me neighbor. But what we're going to share with you later, we have options for those that can't simply physically get to a location and get bags. We're not going to leave you high and dry. So we have a plan. But for the vast majority of us, if we can go down to these locations, get your sandbag, come to one of our fire stations, and we have plenty of sand, but do it before the rain starts. And we'll talk more about that. The last bullet, recovery. Do you think this is important? I shared with you that I was responsible for taking our California Task Force 5 to Hurricane Katrina. And I spent nearly 40 days in theater, St. Bernard Parish and Ninth Ward. I was responsible for a 62-member task force, and we had to go into the flooded communities and take care of people. Believe it or not, you hear all the good things that happen, and there are a lot of good things that happen in the community, but the city is still recovering. There are still areas that were destroyed, that haven't rebuilt. There are still areas that there are people that have been displaced that never will be able to come back. Recovery is oftentimes, as soon as the event hits, we're already starting to think about recovery. Alex, in the incident command system, will be the IC, and he relies on the inputs that we give from the police chief and the fire chief. We're starting that recovery process right out off the bat. Where are the areas that are most impacted? We're doing infrastructure assessments. We're working with Chris and her troops to make note and track where those impacts are. Because when we declare a local disaster, the county may declare that, we may declare that locally. We're entitled to cost recovery, federal money, and that's important, especially for the recovery period, and especially for getting not only our city, but any jurisdiction back on their feet. So let me talk a little bit about the incident action plan. You're not getting a copy of it, and that's by design because the actual, let me pull it out here, hold on. This is what it looks like. And this incident action plan has a series of objectives, and that's what I want to share with everybody. We really have 4 objectives that we're going to be placing focus on our response. And that is preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery. So the things that I touched on in our PowerPoint here are the things that we build our plan on. So each one of those incident objectives are what we build our operation plan daily on. So that we rely on the feedback we get from our residents, the infrastructure assessments that we conduct, the intel that we have from our county partners. Our EOC is activated. We're feeding information to the county, they're feeding information to us, and we're getting a general assessment of where those impacts are. This document is our guide for how we're going to respond to those types of incidents and issues. It has every name and contact and phone number. We don't have birthdays on this, but we have everybody's position, the department, their contact numbers, what role they play on the city command team. We have, in essence, established an incident management team, and we activate that team with our department heads and come together at the EOC, which is our Emergency Operations Center, and that is the hub where we direct the operations that go on in the city. Now, why is that important? It's going to play out here in just a second. Just leave it with this. This document changes daily. So it changes based on the inputs that we get, as I shared with you. So it's not static. So on the preparedness end, this is what we need from you. This is what the help that we need. Now, I went out today, and I got some goodies. Chris, can you come up and help me?
Oh, like Vanna? I'm so excited.
Like Vanna, yes. And
Much better.
what I did is I went down to one of our local vendors, and Chris is going to just pull out at random. This would represent what you should start gathering. And we have some things here. We have a tape. We have a shovel. Why do you think we need a shovel? What might you need a shovel for? To fill your sandbag, right? You don't want a really big shovel, but you want something that's manageable. And you get a small little shovel that's just enough to put some sand in the sandbag. Get a bag, a roll of the plastic visqueen sheathing. That is about 3.5 feet by 7 feet. It's $5. And why that's important, you can do a heck of a job of diverting water from areas that are water intrusion for door sills, etc. Duct tape and the blue tape's the magic tape. That's the tape that doesn't destroy anything. But either case, that tape, the plastic right there, does a great job. Both these 2 items here were less than $15. Also have...
And you can use it for slip and slide.
And you can use it for a slip and slide. I've got the dock gun there, and I've got, in her left hand, we have, I always wanted to, you see that infomercial, the guy that sprays the stuff? Okay, so I got to be honest with you, I got that because I've always wanted to see how that works. But it makes a good visual. But the concept is you got the silicone weather docking, you can get it any color you want, just get some silicone, clear dock, and then stuff like this leak seal, same kind of thing. You can do a repair to the gutter. The dock is something that you can put around a window seal or an opening to prevent it from causing a problem. So right there, we have, yeah, we're good. Let's have a round of applause for Vanna. I know that wasn't appropriate, I'm sorry. Sorry, Alex. The shovel, again, I can't say enough about that. The shovel, so you go, don't be overwhelmed when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or any hardware store. There's like 25 different versions of straight tip, round tip, 8-foot handle, 6-foot handle. Get something like this. It's really manageable. You can put this in the trunk of your car. You can readily access it, and it doesn't break your back when you're using it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I did this. This took me 10 minutes. This whole ensemble here was less than 30 bucks. So I bet if you went to your house and you went and did a self-inventory, I bet everybody could find a bucket, right? So there's $5 off the table right there. I bet everybody probably has a shovel. You don't have to go get a new shovel, but you probably have a shovel, right? So what our CERT teams know, we talk about this all the time. If you go into your house and do a self-inventory, there are a lot of things that you have already that you can apply to your preparations. Very important. So we talk about our recommended inspections to prevent rainstorm-related problems. Inspect, maintain, and repair the following. What did I say at the first one? It's like earthquakes. People wait to fill their earthquake bucket when after the earthquake. So I'm going to put everybody on the spot here. I did mine. You know, I had to have them. I don't dare climb on top of the roof. I do that for a living. When there's a fire or something like that, I don't want to go up on the roof and fall down and get hurt. My goodness. So I had to make an appointment with the rain gutter people to come out to clean my gutters. You know how long that took? I made the appointment in beginning of November, and they were there at my house on December 31st. And so and you know what? They found everything that you could imagine in the gutter, the downspouts. They weren't functioning at capacity. So that's very important because the gutters are what are going to help you channel the water away from your dwelling unit. So some of them are very hard to clean. And depending on what they're made of, if they're steel, they're prone to rust. If you have aluminum gutters, they don't rust, but they all have the same tendency of gathering the junk that gets blown around and blocks their spouts. So something to keep in mind. Roofs, fix the leaks now. Surface floor drains, make sure they work. Retaining wall drains. This is where we see a lot of problems. We get a lot of calls 911, especially when we get really heavy rain. Chris can elaborate this, but on the French drains or drains that are subterranean that are designed to take water away from the footings. If they're clogged up and they're not working, the footings can get undermined. Private drainage courses, culverts, ditches, slope areas. So this is just a bunch of a menagerie of different things that you should right now go in on your property, look around. How many of you here have a roof leak? Be honest. Everybody has a good roof. Okay, how many check their gutters? Okay. How many have not checked their gutters? Okay. I'm not trying to do it. So, for those that haven't, now's the time to do it. Because I think we're going to have a little bit of a breather, but stand by for mid-February, March. So, giving you a little reprieve. Now, Mother Nature is going to turn that around, I know, and tomorrow is going to be a day which is going to get mad at me. So, make sure that you tackle that right now. Business and residential, strategically place sandbags and plastic sheeting. Again, I shared with you this bucket. You should already have something like that. It doesn't have to look like this. It could be like your earthquake container. It could be something that you have pre-staged and you have all the material that you need. You're not having to run down to the hardware store. And guess what? It's like earthquake supplies. Everybody has the same idea at the same time. You go down there, right? And you're competing for things that we just take for granted, and everybody's running for the same thing, like water, same kind of thing. So you want to make sure you clean the debris along perimeter fences, block walls, trim and remove weakened tree branches. Chris is going to talk a lot about the infrastructure that upkeep that occurs citywide, 365 days of the year by really the unsung heroes, or public works crew, that are out there each and every day making sure that the stuff works and making sure that they're taking care of the problems before they occur. Chris, there's the main drainage. I think you'll mention that I shared with the exec team that they found, they were able to remove the root system in a tree, found out the interior pipe was cracked, and anyway, they made some repairs. And that was several months ago, but that well in advance of any storm activity, and that's preemptive. So now that prevents a possible potential problem downstream that we're going to have to, one less thing we're going to have to deal with. Everybody see this? Any questions on any of these bullets? So just give me a visual on cleaning your gutters. I really be, so this is the safety side. I would really be careful with climbing up on ladders. I would encourage you to hire a professional to do this. It's really minimal cost, but I see a lot of injuries with people that use ladders and they use them. They're not quite tall enough, so there's some real creative things that people do with ladders. You don't want to fall off. That's really the key. So, let's take it a step further. Should you keep your car fueled?
Yep.
Should you have a route? Know where you're going?
Yep.
The supervisor mentioned going into an intersection. What's the rule of thumb? If the intersection is, you can't see it, it's a body of water, are you going to drive and plow through there? Everybody say no. So the problem with that is you just don't know how deep it is. You don't know what is underneath there. Now, I shared the story when I was in Katrina. We had $10 billion of all sorts of high technology equipment. There were two things that were our life saver, and that was PVC pipe that we cut in 8-foot increments, and then hip waders, because you're walking the water up to here. When you're going down a roadway and you use the PVC pipe that's down in front of you, so you don't walk into a manhole where the cover, when it floods, the manhole cover will get blown away. If you fall down in the hole, you're not coming back. It's sudden and very immediate. And so you don't think of those things, but that very real here. That's why you don't want to walk down a street that's flooded. You don't want to drive down in the middle of the intersection. And supervisor, still hear that Mini Cooper's a good, Mini Cooper's, I love that car. It's fun. And really what makes it fun, low center of gravity, right? And if you don't think of that in that terms, that low center of gravity can really be a problem if you go into a body of water. Large SUVs even, don't be tempted just because you have a 4-wheel drive that you'll be able to make it through. I'm not trying to, beat that up too much, but that is a real problem that we see on every time we have these events. The bottom bullet, if you see a storm drain catch basin in the street that is not draining, alert the city public works department right away. I call. Chris is going to give more of an overview. So we try to be preemptive, and we're aggressive with that year-round, but it's during the actual storm event that we start seeing these problem areas. So you really are eyes, our ears, as soon as you can report that. Very, very important. I want to talk briefly about 911. And one of the things that we are addressing, actually Dave and I both, the communication center, our dispatch center, is a police fire dispatch center. So on any given day, we may have 2 or 3 dispatchers that simultaneously will dispatch law enforcement and as well as fire resources. So we need to be very aware of what the impact is when we start receiving, if we have a storm event, is that an appropriate use to use 911 sandbags? So what we're trying to work on is an alternate plan, if you will, to provide you a number that you can contact to get help. You still need help, and we're going to be there for you, but it's not emergent. It doesn't need to go through the 911. And I just share that as an awareness. If you're not sure, call 911. But my point being is that is a very real problem we have to deal with. Keep your distance from down power lines. Listen to watch for flood reports. Evacuate immediately if told to do by authorities. Our philosophy on evacuation, to the extent possible, we will evacuate as a last resort. We try to shelter-in-place concept is important, especially for some of our population that may need that and is sensitive to any kind of movement or physical removal to a different location. So we take all that into account, but if we say that it's time to go, you know, it's time to go, and we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. The PD is going to be, we'll be using their Bearcat. The Bearcat's that fancy piece of equipment that our SWAT team utilizes for SWAT ops, but it's also fantastic to go in and do extractions, life-saving extractions, if we need to. So we can go in and we can get in and get you and take you out. But those are the contingencies we're working on as the storm hits. And I'll leave you with this. The last bullet, so the plan should include your family. Your plan should also include having an out-of-state contact. That applies to earthquakes as well. Making sure that you have a plan. So if you have somebody that has a medical challenge, is physically challenged. My father was, he's no longer with us, but he was for 40 plus years a paraplegic. And so we had a very well done, I mean, the things that we take for granted, I'm going to get out of my bed now and get in my car and go, was a multi-stage operation, major operation, and especially when all the siblings moved out of the house and just, it was just my mom and dad. So all of us face those challenges. So if you're not sure, I'll have some numbers you can contact that can help you develop that plan, and that's a very important thing to consider. So with that, take a couple quick questions and we're going to move on to the next phase. Yes?
That there would be help available to people who were unable to put together sandbags. I live in Hemet West, and we have elderly people who may not be totally disabled, but would have a very difficult time. So what do they do?
There's a... So if I'll recap for you. The question was, if I can't physically, I need help. What are we going to do in response to your inquiry? As I promised and committed to everyone in this room, and we continuously reinforce, we're not going to leave anybody on their own. We're there to help. And so Chris is going to address how to give you a phone number to call. And we'll coordinate with our public works team and our fire response team to, you won't get an engine, red lights, and siren, but you're going to get one of our team there that can help you with just that. I commit to that. Yes, sir.
Yes. Have you set up shelters yet? Are you in the process of?
We have a representative from the Hemet School District, which will talk about that, because Marie has been working with setting that up. So yes.
Chief Brown, I live in a small gated community at the very end of Paul and Gilbert, right on top of Chambers, right where the Sweeney Elementary School and the Diamondback Middle School. There's no drainage down there, and we've dealt with this for a number of years. What's going to happen if we back up into our facility with a really bad situation? What do we expect from the fire department?
Well, what you can expect, and again, Chris is going to be addressing some of this from the structural, that I mentioned earlier, and I certainly don't want to downplay. When I say legacy projects, I don't mean anything, there's no negative with that. It just means we know there are areas that have, whether the way they were designed, whatever the case may be, not enough drainage capacity, they're going to be prone to flooding. The key is going to be how much rain, how quick, and how dense it comes down in a given period. So we're really tonight focusing on how we're going to respond to that. So what you can count on from the fire department, our public works, and law enforcement, when the rain starts hitting really hard, our units are deployed, we're getting feedback, you would call us and let us know we have a problem developing. We would send units out there to assess. That may be public works, that may be a fire unit when available from an emergency to get diverted to go see that. We do an assessment, and I get back to the plant. Our number one focus is to divert water, reduce the flooding impact, the infrastructure, and to do everything we can to minimize that for the duration of the storm. Is there going to be flooding? Yes. Our focus is to minimize property damage related to that, but I need your help in doing it.
So our problem is we have a pump down there,
right,
a storage yard, and we pump out but it backs up from Chambers. It comes back from the city. That's our problem.
Okay. I think if we don't answer it or Chris doesn't, we'll get with you at the end of the meeting and let's get the detail and we can address it. Okay? Yes, sir.
Chief, I have 2 comments today. I called Riverside County just last week for different things to check out the roof of my mobile home. They gave me a list of things to call, people to call, and they also gave me a list of 2 people that would come out to my home and make an inspection. So that's one thing that people can do. The other thing they can do is whoever they're renting their mobile home or their home from, they can contact the manager, ask if there's a CERT captain that lives close by or in their park, and talk to that person. They can reroute them throughout the entire city.
Thank you. One more, and Chris, you're on next.
Sure.
You have one more question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Who are the CERT team and what do they do?
Let's have all our CERT members raise your hand that are part of a CERT team. And I got to tell you, so here's the challenge, and I'm going to use the fish analogy like I did last time. We are very fortunate. We have a very robust CERT program. We have 8 active teams currently. I'm very proud to report through the effort of our team, we graduated 3 CERT academies. That's unheard of. That hasn't happened, and this happened within the last 10 months. Now, we're very good at what I call catch and release. We catch the interest, we get you involved, and then we release you into the field, right? Is that a good analogy?
Yeah.
And so we don't do so good with the care and the feeding and the support. So what our CERT team has been hearing, we have a CERT leadership meeting that happens on a quarterly basis. You can help me, keep me honest here and make sure I don't forget anything. My message has been very clear that my biggest concern is I do not want our CERT teams to become a liability. And they become a liability if they don't have a focused mission and affiliation. And we don't give them meaningful focus on things that they need to be doing. So right now our focus is rebuilding that foundation. We have our CERT leadership team that meets quarterly. They're the senior leadership that we have the discussions. We're building that. Marie Davis, I don't know that everyone has met Marie. Marie is our emergency services coordinator. And she's been instrumental in working with the coalitions and bringing them together at the table. It's a huge, huge effort. And so that work presently is underway. What people aren't used to hearing, CERT teams are important. They're invaluable. And I got to tell you, of all the jurisdictions and areas that I've worked on, I've never seen such a robust interest at the community level in becoming involved with CERT. And that's something you should all be very proud of. And that's our strength. And I use the term force multiplier because that's our help. When everything is really bad, we've got a limited amount of, we have 45 firefighters total, 60 plus police officers, 15 on duty on any given day. We have very, very limited resources. So we have to be strategic on how we deploy them, and we have to be strategic on how we're going to engage our CERT partners. But we have to have a plan. And that's what we've been working on. Painfully slow. And I don't think I'm saying anything out of school. And I wish we could work faster. We're doing the very best we can given the resources that we have allocated for that. Yes, sir.
Chief, if anyone's interested in joining the CERT program, how do they go about doing so? And is another training set or scheduled?
Great question. Marie's working on this quarter's, next quarter's actually CERT program and training for 2016. It'll be on our website. If you have an interest, I'll give you my phone number. I think most of you have my email and phone number. You can email me direct, and I'll put you in touch with Marie Davis, who will give you that schedule. That's a great question. Thank you, Alex. Okay. It is my absolute pleasure to invite Kristen Jensen to the dais. Chris is part of our Public Works Director, part of our incident management team, and leads a fabulous bunch of dedicated professionals that keep everything moving. So on that note, let's have a round of applause for Chris.
Thank you, thank you. First and foremost, thanks for taking time out of your nights when everybody should be in their comfy clothes and watching their favorite show to come out and listen to us. Some of you again, and some of you for the first time. Chief Brown did a great job of hitting on some things that you'll probably see in my PowerPoint, so I'm going to try to kind of gloss over those points and get to some other stuff, but I wanted to start out first by saying the chief tells no lies, because I have the most amazing staff that are serving all of you every single day. Many of them live in the valley, they're all dedicated to being here, and when it comes down to those moments when we need them because we're scared, there's urgent things happening, they're going to be there. So along with Fire and PD, we've got 75 men and women in orange and blue and gray that will be there for you. So please know that. And if you ever have any questions about anything, you can always call Public Works, and we'll answer things the best way we can. So I was going to start out just really quickly with kind of an overview of the natural historical flow of water through our valley. And the last time we were here, we didn't have these maps. So thank you to the IT department for putting these together for us. What you're looking at here, and there are maps throughout the room here. We've got one map that kind of gives you an idea of all of the roadways. It kind of has a picture of the valley wide. County, Saboba area, San Jacinto, that kind of gives you an idea of areas where we might take water on from other jurisdictions, if you will. The map that I've got up here, though, shows us the 100-year, which, if I can get my laser, there we go. The 100-year flood zone, which is kind of this light blue color. Those are the areas that are expected to flood if we got a 100-year storm. And then the dark blue areas are actually areas in addition to the light blue that would be expected to flood if we got a 500-year storm. So what we have done is on this map, we have located those areas that are prone to flooding, and they're indicated as a red dot on the map. So in terms of Public Works, when we're out kind of running our shifts and looking at things, when rain is coming, we know that these are places that we need to be prepared extra for. You might find that there's spots that we pre-sandbag, and it could be anything from water coming up on a corner on like an ADA ramp to an area where we get heavy flooding in an intersection. So they're just kind of pinpoint locations. We wanted to give you an idea if you had a chance to look at the map to see that. The other thing that we've got is there's some areas, and you probably can't see them well from here, but where we've got kind of a yellow triangle, and we call those our priority locations. And what that means is that we know that if we get any amount of measurable rain, that we are going to have to make sure that we are checking those locations, and those are some of the places where you're going to get the most water accumulation. I know that there are some people here from the Seattle Basin area. Anyone? Hands up, anyone? I am Mr. Brookhart's here. So, okay, I thought there'd be more. But that is one of our biggest challenges is in this area. The flow of water in our valley, I'm so not good with this thing, so you're going to get my hand pointer. The flow of water in our valley tends to be from east to west. And then we also tend to see that there's kind of a break to some extent on this west side, where the west will start to flow southwest, and some will flow up more towards San Jacinto. So with that natural flow, we have older and newer areas of the city. And so what you'll find is we have a number of pieces of the puzzle. When we talk about a storm drain system, we're not just talking about underground infrastructure. The streets in the older areas, and we have some of the best dips in Hemet, I can tell you, as a kid, I lost many a hubcap. I may have left an oil can or two out there somewhere. But we have gone from that surface flow to, as the city has expanded, we start to see underground infrastructure. And then we have areas that aren't quite developed yet that we are having drainage or roadside ditches that actually serve as stormwater conveyance for us. And then, of course, basins where water will collect, sometimes it's pumped out, depending on the location and what the purpose of the basin is. So just kind of gives you an overview. Some of our tough areas are coming off of Park Hill because water takes the path of least resistance. So if it's raining on Park Hill, it's coming our way. One of the nice things is Riverside County Flood Control has been working on a project on Meridian that may very well pick up some of that water. The other piece, not may very well, it will pick up a lot of the water. And then this area right in here where you see the red dots is one of our super top secret favorite areas to sandbag. This is along Whittier. And again, Riverside County Flood Control has one of their storm drain lines being put in there. So we're already seeing relief from that line, which is very nice. So those are areas where normally we would have had pretty heavy surface flow, that we're going to start seeing that reduction as some of the new infrastructure goes in. So are you feeling like you might be able to take this down and put my, don't make me run that. You know what happens. Just exit out of that and maybe start the PowerPoint.
I got it.
Uh-oh. We broke something already.
You want PowerPoint?
So, while we're pulling that up, we have some really common questions that we get. A lot of them came in as kind of the questions that were submitted by you guys through the website or to the city. And those questions are, thank you, Matt. Are we ready? Are we ready? What is the city doing to prepare? What areas are most prone to flood? We just talked about some of those and you've got them designated on the maps. What is the city doing to fix flood-prone areas? And what can citizens do to be prepared? So Chief Brown was able to kind of cover a little bit of some of these questions for you. But in terms of operations of what our guys do, so we have 11 divisions, again, 365. Our staff is out there doing preventative maintenance on all of our infrastructure, our streets, our sidewalks, our street lights, and our storm drains. So we talked about the 4 types of features that you would see that would serve together as our storm drain system, our storm conveyance system. With the surface flow, again, world famous dips, things like the street sweeping, when you see the street sweepers, they impact that because they're keeping debris off the street that is going to clog the drains when the rain comes. We do a lot of roadway debris removal. Obviously, when things are left or people are throwing trash, we try to grab it. One of the things you can do to help is encourage people not to be pigs and throw things out of cars. The other piece is, and my grandpa would holler at me right now, is don't blow your leaves out to the street. It's only rain in the drain for a reason, and that's because when the rain gets here, we don't want to be trying to figure out where all that stuff went because it's now backing up into your yard. As far as the actual storm drain infrastructure, the underground, we have over 800 inlets throughout the city. Our guys visit those every single day, not all of them every day, but they have a rotation that they're on with those priority locations that we talked about on a more frequent visit pattern. And when a storm is coming, we're definitely making sure that we are visiting them quadruple normal to make sure they're ready. Roadside ditches and reaches and the basins. Cleaning, weeding, and spraying of those areas. We do have some challenges, and I believe that I shared this at the last meeting. We have certain times of the year that Regional Water Quality Control Board, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Department of Fish and Wildlife will allow us to clean certain areas because they have dubbed them as potential habitat. That period is from September 15th through the end of December. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what happens the other 9 months of the year, but we get a lot of rain, and then we get a lot of heat, and we get a lot of stuff growing. And so I know that there has been frustration with why aren't you out there, why haven't you cleaned it yet, what's going on. It really has to do with us working within the parameters of our permits that we have with these environmental agencies. We are working very hard with them to at least expand that time period so that we can get a little bit better handle on things, and we aren't just cramming during 3 months in those specific areas that they have done sensitive habitat. So that's kind of that. And then we also put out, working with the code enforcement department, we put out private property clearing notifications because there are quite a few properties out there that are not developed with all kinds of weeds and stuff on them, but we need them clear so that we don't end up with those in our storm drain system. Our pre-storm prep, well, we know a storm's coming. We're doing daily reviews of weather forecasts. We're looking to see who's going to be available this weekend, not just 2 or 3, but 2 or 3 dozen employees in case we get hit hard. We know that they're going to be in town and we can grab them up. We obviously, like I said, perform additional infrastructure inspections. Sandbag prep. So as the chief already talked about, we did go ahead and supply sand at the fire stations this year. We did have people taking advantage when we had free bags out. You know, it was kind of on your honor system, take 10 for your place and move along, and that just wasn't happening. So last 2014, 17,000 sandbags went out on the city's dime through the fire department. And the guys are out responding to emergency situations, so we can't have firefighters being the sandbag monitor. So this year, as we kind of took a look, we decided that it was probably smart to kind of teach the public how to be ready on their own. We're still helping, still get your sand for free, but you got to do a little bit more planning, I guess. So, removal of dead and diseased trees. Our tree crews have removed somewhere between 50 and 60 trees out of the city at this point that are either dead or diseased. We don't want those coming out of the sopping wet ground or being blown over because they're top heavy. And then we have proactive staging of high volume collection areas with sandbags. So again, those curbside areas, you'll see where we put sandbags out knowing it's going to have a high volume of water coming. What do we do during the storm? We initiate pumping at specific basins. This can really frustrate the public. Why are you pumping water down the street? We're in a drought. Why are you not conserving it? Why aren't you sucking it up in a truck and watering somebody's flowers with it? There are a lot of legal restrictions to the water that comes off the street. And as much as I and probably everybody in this room would love to save it in our rain barrels, the yuck, if you will, that comes off the street does not make for good irrigating water. So, but we do also have to move the water west, remember, so that we can have capacity in the future storms. We want to get those basins cleared out. We do our rotating site inspections, and then obviously during active storm operations, we're going to be communicating with fire. Like Chief Brown had said, the EOC is open. All of us are at the table, and we have such an amazing group here that it's a strong team. And so we hope we never have to call, an EOC for any reason. But if we do, I have full confidence that it's going to run smoothly, and you guys are going to get everything you need out of those emergency requests. So lastly, future improvements. Our super amazing engineering department gets the brunt of the what are you going to do questions. Hi, Steve. Right there, you good? All right. We have said over and over again.
Yes, let's have Steve stand up.
Oh,
Steve, stand
Steve
up.
Steve Latino, our city engineer.
He's really shy, so he's listening to that.
So, Mr. Latino has been incredibly helpful in taking a look at these legacy problems that Chief Brown talked about and helping us to come up with some solutions, however temporary they might be, until we have permanent solutions which will actually come with development. So one of our biggest areas, we mentioned earlier, is Seattle Basin. That basin tends to get inundated quickly, and until we have development west of that basin, we're going to have to continue to pump across the street to get that water moved into the fields across the street with the permission of the property owner. And but we do have a west end drainage plan that is really going to help pick up some of those areas that feel like a dead end right now that are frustrating. So that's happening. We talked about Riverside County Flood Control and their projects. Definitely a blessing for our city. And again, we're already seeing the benefits of that. So really quickly, what can citizens do to prepare? You guys heard all of the really good stuff in Chief Brown's. But there was one thing here at the bottom that I think we forget in terms of preparing, and that's to help each other. Because many of us have elderly neighbors. Maybe we have disabled neighbors. Maybe we have neighbors who aren't home for a month. But I think it's really important, once you've kind of taken care of yourself, to go and ask, is there something we can do? We get questions all the time. We had one tonight about, I can't do the sandbag thing. Those things weigh 900 pounds. I can't move them. I need help. Help each other out. And if you have no one, call us, and we will do everything we can. But you know, part of being in this community is being a part of the heart of the community. And I think that we're really starting to see through potential challenges like El Nino, that we can come together and we'll make it out, we'll make it through it. So just remember to do that, take care of each other out there. And I think that that is all I get to bore you with. So, questions? Sure.
What's the phone number?
Oh. What's your phone number? Okay. How about 765-3712? That is Public Works.
Chris, can you repeat that one more time? Chris?
Sure. Area code 951, of course. 765-3712.
What about evenings and weekends?
So we do have a staff, a call-out staff. And so normally what would happen is if there was an emergency or if there was a problem, there is a number when you call that line after hours, it'll tell you what number to call, and they will dispatch to our call-out person for any problems, to address any problems.
Yes, I would like to know what you said about cleaning out the Seattle Basin over there.
Yes.
You ever can do that twice a year?
We can only do it once a year.
Once a year.
And our time period is from September 15th through the end of December. The challenge is there are other restrictions. So if there is nuisance water in the bottom of that basin, we can only clean so far down. So we kind of have a bunch of hoops we have to jump through to ever get to the bottom of the basin.
Yes, that's our biggest problem over there. If it don't get cleaned out, they put those pumps at the end of the street down there. But all that debris in there, when the pumps get stopped up, it backs up into our neighborhood. I live right in the middle, about 3681 Seattle Street. And it comes out of that water, so when it fills up, the plastic runs out right in front of my house. And then when you put the barrier up there, these big trucks come through there, put the big wheels on them, you know, and they run water and it runs up into the neighbor's house, into the road. We have that like twice, and I've been there about 10 years.
Okay.
And I've seen it happen twice.
So can I guess, was it 2010 and 2014?
3681 Seattle Street.
But the storms in December of 2010 were a huge challenge for us, and I know that we had some major flooding of the streets in that area.
That's right.
2014 was another one. A couple of things that we have done since then that are different, so we can hope you would expect no flooding, is that we have permission to start additional pumping ahead of that basin being full. So we're trying to change the game a little bit, get ourselves in a position where we can be proactive, because previously it pretty much had to be crested before we were allowed to do anything out of an emergency basis. So that has changed. This last storm that we had, although you saw the pumps out there, you didn't have anything coming over the basin. It was handled fairly well.
No,
Okay.
pretty good job this last time. I think they had 2 pumps out there and they did it pretty good.
Okay.
I think they come that Friday night and they filled up, and that Saturday it was gone.
Yeah. You know, the other piece of the puzzle, and I think that Chief Brown had mentioned it too, is we can prepare everything that we have in place so that it is just primed and ready to go. But if Mother Nature gives us 5 inches of rain in one day, unless somebody's building an ark, there's no, right. I mean, there's a lot to deal with. So, right. Sure. Sorry.
Okay. The maps that you've shown, can we get those online?
Yes, I believe that they will be posting them online in the next day or so.
Chris, may I add also the website? If you go to our city website, you go into the fire department tab. We have a lot of the El Nino prep information. The maps will be located there, and any general information you have on disasters and that kind of stuff. One more question here in the back. Let me get you the microphone.
With this last rain that's come in the area, I have a friend who has a huge sinkhole in her front yard. Who would she call?
On the private side, well, unfortunately, it would honestly need to be a contractor. She would need to look for somebody outside of the city. She may want to call her insurance company to have them send somebody out and take a look at it. I'm going to give you my card and we'll talk some more. Okay.
Okay.
Good?
Are we good? All right. Let's have a big round of applause. And we're going to move right along here, and we're almost home. We're almost home. And I've got, remember the treat, the surprise. So you got to stay for the very end because there's a big surprise here. There is a big surprise. Okay, my pleasure to introduce Lucy Dressel from the Hemet Unified School District, a very important partner in our disaster preparedness response. Lucy's with us, has been with us at every one of our planning meetings, and I think you'll be interested to hear what she has to say. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure to be here tonight, and thank you for spending your evening with us. It's a wonderful feeling to see the sea of green vests out there. I'm also a co-instructor for the CERT team in the city of Hemet, so knowing that you are taking those steps and being involved in your community is refreshing, and it just leads credence to Chief Brown's statement that you have a great CERT team, you have a great program that's moving forward, you have more classes coming and more recertification refreshers, so stay tuned for that. Being a representative from Hemet Unified School District, a little background on us. Average day, we have over 2,000 employees that are serving the students in our community. We have over 2,000 additional staff members who are substitutes who will be working throughout the school district. And at any given day, we have approximately 21,000 students that we serve. It's a key component for us to make sure that we are working with the city of Hemet in our preparations of what to do and how to respond to disasters. I've spent over 20 years in this field. It's near and dear to my heart. I'm a licensed ham radio operator, so we are moving in that direction as well. So some of the challenges and things that we face is making sure that we're ready to go with the city. So you've all heard about the NOAA updates. El Nino, what do we expect, what are the projections, things of that nature. You may remember 2010, we had Lake Tagwitz down off of Cawston where Basin took over our playing fields. So the softball fields, the football fields, everything was underwater. We are quite pleased that our most recent rainstorm, we did not have Lake Tagwitz. Improvements have been made, corrugations have been enhanced, communications and things of that nature critical in the pre-planning stages. So what do we expect to see in Hemet Unified? Flooding for our school sites and surrounding areas. We talk about preparations, checking your roofs, checking the drains, whether they're roof drains or ground drains, things of that nature. But also, we are one of the largest transportation authorities in the area. We do busing transportation for not only Hemet School District, but we do it for San Jacinto as well. We're also on the emergency callback for the county agencies if we have to evacuate an entity. So it's critical that we know, how do we get students to school? What happens if the students are at school and we can't release them from there? The road is flooded. How do we bus them out? In 2010, we actually bused Rancho Viejo Middle School to another school site, notified parents to come pick up students from there, and we did parent reunification. So it's key for us that parents are always staying in communication with us on, this is my telephone number, this is my email address, this is how I'm getting alerts, to make sure that we're able to give that information. As with Chris and her team, if it's raining at 4 o'clock in the morning, I will guarantee you that I'm going to run across Chris, she's going to run across me. This is not our normal attire. And we have a great team of maintenance folks in Hemet School District as well. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, earlier, we get the call at midnight that we have substantial rain. We have full teams that are deploying to the school sites. We're monitoring road conditions. We're checking the school sites. Decisions are being made at 4 o'clock in the morning on, do we keep school in session? Do we delay start times? Do we close? So that's a vast difference for us. We're looking at building damage, assessing those. Do we have landslides or debris problems? That's always an issue. Road closures. We contend with road closures based on the map that the city has put together. This map was critical in our preparations for the recent storm. So knowing those high hazard areas gave us focus. And Sanderson, Devonshire, we totally understand when that rain comes in. I have a new gentleman who works for me, and it started raining, and he immediately went to Cawston. Comes back and reports, boss, road is completely clear. And I said, great, but you have to wait for the water that's on that end of town to get to this end of town. So we know that even though we may not be affected now, what's it going to look like a half an hour from now, 45 minutes from now? So we're always doing the plan ahead. What happens if we have loss of utilities? How do we keep the children that are in our care, custody, and control? We have backup generators. Every school site has disaster supplies that will sustain them for multiple days if necessary. So we are self-sufficient, knowing that fire department, your law enforcement are responding throughout the community for emergencies. We do our part to be self-sufficient. Change in school activity structure, we call it the rainy day schedule. My 7-year-old grandson, when it rains, the first thing he wants to do is what? Go play in the puddles. We go on rainy day schedules. That can be a delay in the start, delay in the stop, release time. We've had situations where we had severe weather, where we had lightning, things of that nature. Parents are coming to pick up kids. We do a controlled release and we delay that. So parents, we always ask them to be understanding. The things that we do and the delays that we face are for the safety of the kids that we have. So the windstorm, you may remember that. We had parents come pick up all their children. You should imagine what my phone looked like for the next several days. But every child made it home safe and sound. We are also, somebody had asked a question regarding shelters. Every one of my middle schools and high schools is a certified disaster shelter for the Red Cross. We have pre-arranged agreements. We have been used on a regular basis. During the Ottawa fires, we had 2 school sites that were being used. So we have the opportunity and the space to support the Red Cross. We are also working with Marie Davis to have a self-sufficient, if the Red Cross can't get to the city of Hemet, that we have supplies and materials in place and have those same agreements with the city of Hemet. Because after all, everybody in the community is the same individuals. They all are part of the community, students and the parents. School closures. School closures, we look long and hard on whether or not we make a determination on closing the school. And the reason we do that is I have 21,000 students. If I decide, it's a little bit too much water, I'm going to cancel school, where is 21,000 students going to be? Out in the streets, playing in the puddles. We want to make sure that we have every opportunity to get them to school safe. That may be picking up buses, dispatching them. In 2012, we could not get up and down Cawston for Rancho Viejo Middle School or for Tacos High School. We actually deployed 10 buses to the area, and we continue to do a mass sweep and picked up kids and staff members who could not get into school because of the road and the water, and took them to school. Because an hour and a half later, the road was completely empty. So we look at those. Our emergency communications, we have a system called Blackboard Message. We use this to send out notifications, alerts to our parents and to our staff members. It goes out either via a phone, a text message, or an email, all three as well. Landline phones, if we have to do a direct, we have cell phones, we use standard emails, we have another system called Parent Link. The Parent Link is set to where it will call every person in the student's file and give them information. So we can do a pre-recorded message. We can send it to all 21,000 residents and all 4,000 employee phone numbers in a matter of about 10 minutes. So we use those as well. We have apps. We have a lot of Hemet Unified School District apps that we push out notifications as well. We have partnered with news channels and KFrog to make sure that we can send those alerts out. Our principals are really good about sending out notifications via their websites. And believe it or not, we've come into the new century, and HMSD has a Facebook page now as well. So we'll send that out. We have a district radio system that we use, but we have also converted to where several of us are also ham radio operators. So in the event that we need to communicate with the city and all other lines of communications are down, we can actually communicate with their radio operators as well. So what are we doing from this point on? We are like Chris. We are constantly getting weather alerts. We get daily alerts. When we have a pending storm, we get multiple alerts throughout the day. So we're coordinating. We have been at the table with the city of Hemet, Riverside County, for months, making sure that we all have the same information. We are all heading in the correct path, and that we have an open line of communications for events and our responses. The hazard maps that were provided by the city were wonders. We took that, we actually enhanced that with all of our school site information. We provided resource sheets to send out to staff and school members, as well as to parents on what to do, getting them prepared as well on responding to El Nino. And then we have some schools, not all, that have second floor stories. And so at those school sites, we provided what's called an evacuation chair. So if we do lose power, we're able to evacuate students who are in wheelchairs without the need of a elevator. We identified secondary bus stops. So when I talk about Sanderson, Devonshire, those areas where if we get a lot of 5 inches of rain in a very short period, we know that those are areas that are going to get hit and impacted. We've already identified other bus stop locations, pre-planned in advance, depending on which roads we have a problem with, and we can send those alerts out to parents and staff. Emergency contact cards, this is always evolving. Parents will move, and the last person they notify with a new phone number is the school. Don't know why, it happens. So one of our tests now is that we send out regular notifications from the school sites to parents on it's parent night, we're having a fair, things of that nature. The system now gives us a failed report list so that we can follow up with those individuals to make sure that we have good numbers. Building systems, like I said, it's ongoing. We always do preventive maintenance before the winter hits, and this is no different. We're just making sure that it's on a regular basis as well. That is it for me. Wow. Any questions? Yeah. Absolutely.
I live in the Seattle Basin. I live in the Seattle Basin.
Can't hear you, can't hear you.
I live next to the gentleman who lives on Seattle Street. And thank you. I do television, but I never have to hold it myself.
We like to be on the other side. Absolutely.
So we were kind of concerned about at the end of the street where you block the streets off. The sign says for somebody to walk across to the other side to get across. So that needs to be done. But during the school time, a lot of kids come and walk across that street that you block off. And it's very dangerous.
One of the things that we do is we do assessments when we do door closures and things of that nature. I will tell you that we do every attempt to make sure that notification has gone out and that people are following the recommendations. When Cawston was closed in that location, we immediately sent alerts to all 3 school sites at, I think Chris notified me at 5:30, and by 6 o'clock, all the notifications had gone out, specifically directing all the pedestrian and all the vehicle traffic that they could not come through that way on the alternate path. Unfortunately, we can't make everybody go the direction that they're supposed to go. If we have certain individuals, or we go out and monitor, if we have large numbers, we will go back to the school sites and have them remind staff to talk to students about proper locations and parents, because it's not just students, we see parents do it as well. So we do the best we can on making them comply. Unfortunately, we don't have the authority to write a ticket if they fail to follow the recommendation, but we do everything in our power to get those notifications out.
Okay, I think I came by the school and left a notice, and I was concerned about, I did videotape some people walking with their kids across the street.
I know the same 3 students that were doing it on multiple days. Yes, sir. Yes.
Lucy, question?
I live in San Jacinto, and I was wondering if you guys have the same thing as the Hemet stuff for San Jacinto.
I know San Jacinto School District has actually joined us on several meetings. You can contact Dawn Lawrence at San Jacinto. I don't have her number off the top of my head, but she is also their public information officer / emergency coordinator, and she'll be able to get that information. Or see me and I'll give you my card, and you contact me and I'll get it for you. Thank you. Absolutely. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Let's have a round of applause for Lucy.
I would like to take a moment to recognize Tom Wilson from Assemblyman Chad May's office. Thank you. I would also like to give a round of applause for all of our presenters. I think I learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else. I'd also like to recognize our city staff for putting this outstanding event together. If you could all please stand so you can be recognized.
Thank you, sir. I have one impromptu I want to share while we were talking about communications. A very important part of our evolution is integration of our ARES and RACES communication team. So they will be an important link for us to communicate with the school district and other and provide us intel. We are working with providing them very specific operational edict and how they interface with the city. But there's a couple comments here I think I want everybody here. It's very important.
Yeah, my name is Bud Perino, and I'm a resident of the Four Seasons community. I am a CERT member there. I'm also an amateur radio operator and involved with RACES, the Amateur Radio Civil Emergency Service, and ARES, the Amateur Radio Emergency Service. We have developed a communications net in the city of Hemet and even into San Jacinto that actually can communicate area-wide. We can get reports from town operators in parts of the city on street flooding, on other emergency conditions. We can radio that out to, for example, Four Seasons. As I'm hearing these messages coming in, we have a walkie-talkie net in our community. Residents are listening to that. And I can tell them, don't drive out Daventshire, it's flooded. Don't go down Florida, these areas, it's flooded. Someone said there's a mattress blocking the storm drain. I called Public Works and said, this is a concern. To their credit, they were on it already. But this information was going out to the communities and information was coming into us. If you want help in your community to set up a communications net both within the community and to be a part of this large net, I and other radio operators can help you with it. We actually have a plan where we've been working with the chief and we're ready to implement this so that it is from the communities being able to go to a central net and then being able to communicate with the city on concerns and emergency situations. So again, if you want to be a part of this, especially if you are already an amateur radio operator, please see me after the meeting. We have plans. We can help you get started. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, one last thing before I give you the surprise. You guys are still interested?
Yes.
Rob and Peggy, would you raise your hand, please? RPS Video. Is instrumental. They videotape this entire event, and it's going to be linked to our website. Rob, correct me, sometime next week. So what I'm going to ask you, I'm going to deputize you as our ambassadors to get the information out, make sure they check our website, and get the information. I'm going to give you my email one more time, and my cell number, which we have to keep this a secret. And most of you have learned that last time because I've gotten 500 calls, but I take calls. So my email address is sbrown@cityofhemet.org. And this is secret, okay? So I have your word. My cell number is 951-229-5862. And I'll make sure to forward everything to the other Chief Brown. If you have any questions. Okay, we have a surprise. So I want to thank our public works team for coming up with this fabulous idea. And when we leave and exit here, every one of you are going to take home with you 5 sandbags. We have pre-positioned out front, enough then some, because we were obviously anticipating a bigger group. So I'm going to defer to our team to 5, right?
We'll go 5. I'm going to be generous. We'll go 5 per person instead of 5 per household, which is what we were going to do. How's that?
Is it Christmas or what? So just to build on our city manager's comments on behalf of the entire operational planning team, our public works team, our engineering team, fire department and police department, a heartfelt thank you. I hope you took away a little something. I deeply apologize for our ill-timed sense of humor video. And please call me with questions. We're also available to come talk to you about your fire department and what's going on in our emergency response. We broke 16,000 calls, 16,171 calls for calendar year 2015. That's astonishing. 16,000 calls, so we're very busy. But we're here to help and here to serve. Thank you very much.
Don't look so puzzled. See you